I think one of the biggest things to point out is the Green New Deal was actually born here. It was created by the Green Party. It actually comes from the Global Greens, going back to, I think, around 2006 or 7 or so, when the Global Greens started talking about we need, a mass international movement to deal with climate change, and we have to talk about how to restructure our international economy around renewable energy and green industry and such. And that eventually led to the Green New Deal group in the UK that kind of put together the first real plan on what a Green New Deal looks like. And then that came to the US, and Howie Hawkins was the first one to run on a Green New Deal in the US when he ran for governor of New York in 2010. And then it was adopted by Jill Stein in her presidential campaign in 2012 and became National Green Party platform since 2012.
And in 2010, Howie was running on it, but there were something like 100 Greens nationally running on a unified Green New Deal platform, including the most successful gubernatorial run we've ever had, and that was in Illinois, where we got about 11%. And where I lived in Southern Illinois at the time, we got 22% because the candidate was down there. So it's been a popular program since the very beginning, and it's something like 62% support today. So
yeah, absolutely. And so the Green New Deal, in kind of its original formation, around 2010, 2012, dealt with kind of four main areas: economic human rights, an economic bill of rights, making sure that we're taking care of workers, a green transition to make sure that we're moving toward renewable energy, financial reform, to make sure that we're not bailing out big banks, billionaires, but we're actually, abolishing student debt and things like that are useful for, average working Americans. And then, of course, elections reform to make our system much more democratic so that people have a say in how the Green New Deal gets implemented. And so that was kind of the original Green New Deal plan. And I think what was exciting about 2020 is that Howie put together an eco-socialist Green New Deal budget that goes along with it that really goes into a lot of detail about what does this look like in practice. How do we put this together, and what does that budget look like? So there's a lot that can be taken here into policy. This was written specifically for nationwide, of course, but I think there's a lot of good policy references in there that can also be taken at state and local levels to even begin that transition right now, and to begin securing economic rights right now at the local level. Like we were talking about earlier, green mayors at local levels can do things like fight homelessness and poverty. And so we can start implementing some of this now, while keeping in mind this kind of big national picture. And this is all very different from the neoliberal spin of the Green New Deal that the Democrats have tried to do in the past couple of years. We have an eco-socialist Green New Deal. It's very, very different. You have any thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, and the Green New Deal is necessarily a federal program, right? And that was something that Howie talked about during the campaign, and he talked about it quite a bit in relation to the idea of defunding the police. Because if you look at city budgets and what is needed in terms of social services, complete defunding of the police, abolition of the police doesn't even provide enough money, right? These have to be federal level programs. But if you read the Green New Deal budget, and if you get into Howie's proposal, which is massive, like we're talking $4.2 trillion a year, right? The Democrats in their Build Back Better can't even get $2 trillion over 10. Right. And they didn't even start. Biden started at 3.5 trillion over 10. The best the Democrats have, which is the Thrive agenda from the progressives, is only 10 million. It's only 10 trillion over 10 years. So even the best they put up is $1 trillion a year. Howie's budget is 4.2 trillion, but it would get us to 100% clean energy by 2030 across all sectors. It would deliver an economic bill of rights and an economic reconstruction program. And so when you dive into it, despite being this big federal program, it is designed to be ran democratically from the bottom up, right? So today, if you implemented Medicare for all today, A hospital would get told how much money they have to operate based on the amount of money that's in the program. It would work the opposite under the Medicare for All as a national health service proposal that Howie put out as part of his economic bill of human rights. The hospital, the local community would elect boards that would determine the needs of the community. They would then send that upward, and funding would be found for it, right? And so despite it being, this really large federal investment, it's managed on the local level, which is so important because all of these crises manifest themselves different at the local level, right? We're all dealing with housing issues, but how does it manifest in Pittsburgh versus Springfield, Illinois, where I'm at, right? We're all dealing with environmental issues, but how it manifests differently in different places. We're all dealing with, job issues. And I'm sure it's way different in a former industrial town like Pittsburgh versus a small state capital like where I live in Springfield, right? We've lost manufacturing too, but I don't think it's anywhere comparable to what somewhere like Pittsburgh or Detroit has. So despite it being this, and it has to be this major federal system, right? We need, as Greens, we need to be pushing our city councils. We need to be pushing our county boards. We need to be pushing our state house and our state senate to pass resolutions calling on the federal government to enact a Green New Deal, right? Because the states, the locals, we can't solve it ourselves. We don't have the tax base. We don't have the revenue raising ability. Even with things like MMT, where we can say we can just print money, we don't have, the states don't have the ability to do it. The local communities don't have the ability to do it. So that's one thing that Greens can be engaging in right now is issues campaigns, pushing your city council to say, Congress, you need to pass this because we're drowning and we can't fill the dam. We can't build the dam. We need your help.
Exactly. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, just like a lot of these issues are international, we have to all come together nationally as well to solve these issues because they are bigger than any of our local communities. We have to work together. We have to cooperate and to be able to solve these issues. And this is exactly what separates the eco-socialist Green New Deal, the original Green New Deal from the Green Party, from what the Democrats have tried to do. What we're talking about is the grassroots democracy, decentralized sort of approach that communities have their own say in how the money gets spent and what it gets spent on, because everyone has these unique conditions and challenges that they need to work on, even though we're all facing the overall similar problems. So we can customize it kind of uniquely and put communities in control democratically instead of the Democrats' plan, which is to just kind of hand money over to billionaires and kind of hope it works out. That's when they say market-based solutions. That's what they mean. That hope that billionaires have enough money that they kind of feel like doing something that works, maybe.
Paying them the green a little bit.
And even at best, even if it kind of has a positive impact, the billionaires are still in control of what is built. What we want is community control of what is built. We want to create democracy moving forward. So there's a lot to the Green New Deal. I encourage you to read more on the Howie Hawkins website about that. And of course, the Green Socialist Notes podcast and all the stuff that goes along with that, where they talk more about it.